Hiya, my name's Nicola Bolton. I'm from Nicola Bolton Management, and this is my Ignite Insight.
Okay, so we're going to straight in with the first question. What was your journey like to becoming an agent?
Right, I was an actor, first of all. So I worked for a long time, 25 years maybe, in the business. And then I went across to maybe more creative, as in choreography. So I did movement direction, and I worked at LIPA as a visiting practitioner. And then I just started giving people, sort of suggesting them to agents, and then somebody said, "Oh, have you ever thought about being an agent?" And that was it, really. I hadn't. But I think you have such a knowledge as a working actor. You know, if you've been in the business for a long time, you know how it all works and stuff, and you know you've got a good, you've got a good amount of contacts. So that's how I came into it.
You start picking things up along the way, don't you?
Totally, and there's an etiquette and there's a way to work, and there's just it's knowing who's where and who's doing what stuff. So that was it. That's the way I went in.
So what would be your advice then to someone who wants to be an agent?
To be an agent, wow. I would say go and maybe do an internship or work for somebody in an office, or go and ask if anybody needs any help. Maybe write around a few agencies and see because you need to really understand how it works. Because people do come into it from different areas. Not everyone's been an actor, or sometimes people have been more on the business side. So they've maybe been a secretary in an office where there's casting, but you do sometimes get people come from casting to agents and vice versa. So I just say try and get experience, really, because I don't think you can go into it straight away if you don't know what you're doing, because it's quite fast paced and there's a way of working that I think you need to get up to speed on.
Do you think there's a particular domain that would be more have that advantage to come from? So, is it better to come from a casting background or an actor background to become an agent, or is it just a case of being in that environment?
I don't know. I don't think there is an advantage. I mean, obviously, because I was an actor, I did know a lot of casting directors. I'd auditioned for all them, So when I sort of emailed all of them and said, "Look, I'm giving up acting and I'm going to be an agent," they were like, "Yay!" They were like, "Yeah, go for it," But I would say that I don't think you can be an actor and an agent, and I don't think you can be a casting director and an agent as well. I think there's a bit of a clash there.
Conflict of interest. Yeah. So what is it that you would say you enjoyed the most about being an agent?
I love finding new talent, and I love telling them they've got a job. That's the best bit of the whole. It's just lovely ringing up somebody and say, "Would you like to be on Coronation Street?" And they go, all scream down the phone. It's so lovely. So that's the best bit.
Yeah, I can imagine you must be rooting for them just as much as when going through the process with them.
I feel like I'm a mother hen to all of these actors. So I am there living it. When they've got another recall and they've got to go in for a chemistry test, I'm like, "Arr." So I'm living it with them. It's not, it's not just as easy. It's just picking up the phone and ringing them and saying you've got an audition.
Yeah.
And I've seen the tapes and I know that they can do the job, and I believe in them, and so I do live it with them.
Yeah. So what does your day-to-day look like, the duties? Obviously, I think when someone says an agent, it's like, okay, they put you forward for jobs, but what does that look like?
Right, so I've got to, obviously I look on Spotlight, so that's a big place where we do source lots of work. However, we do have contacts where we have casting directors will email us briefs and say, "Look, this is what we're looking for," things that don't go on Spotlight. And then also I'm always on the hustle to sort of make sure people know who my actors are, so I'll probably do not a round robin, but I'll probably just target certain people, say, "Have you had these people in? These people haven't been seen." And also, obviously, I've got to liaise with 8 actors as well and check up that they're okay. And if they haven't had a lot of tapes in, I'll say, right, what are we going to do? Do we need to change your, the way you look on Spotlight? Do we need to get new photos? Do we need to update? Things like that. So it's very much just, it's quite a big, it's quite a lot to be done as an agent. It's not just sitting there and waiting for the phone to ring. You've got to be very proactive.
And those tasks that you have, do you take them on solely, or is there a team behind Nicola Bolton Management?
Yeah, so I've got Bryony Polizzi, who works with me, who came across from the other agency that we worked at. So there's the 2 of us basically, and we do that together as a team.
I know the Nicola Bolton Management kind of stemmed during the pandemic.
Yeah.
How has that shaped you as an agent, the pandemic?
Well, obviously, to start a business, like the minute everyone says, right, theatre's closed, everything's stopped, no work, is probably the worst time in the world to start a business.
Don't recommend it.
But But I think you'll find that in the country, when they, in lots of other businesses, people started up businesses, didn't they, at that time, because that was the kick up the backside maybe that they needed. It's all very well to just tick along and go along, but if you actually think, I want to run it a certain way and I want to do things my way, and that is always why people start their own businesses, or I presume because they think, I can do that better, or I can do it differently. What was your question again?
Just like, how has that pandemic shaped you, like as an agent? Do you think how you set up, if it wasn't during the pandemic, do you think it would look different? Has it shaped how you operate?
Yeah, I think that I'm very aware of actors' needs and just everybody. I think everything was a lot more fast paced beforehand, and it was all very much, because you haven't got enough amount of time. But because of the pandemic, we've had a bit more time to sort of, maybe check on people more, and just it's more palliative. Is that the word? I feel that's maybe I work that way differently to what before I did.
Yeah.
Before the pandemic, that's probably, it's definitely shaped the way I work. Yeah. Definitely.
And that's something that you're going to continue coming out of the pandemic.
Absolutely, yeah. Because I do. I think you care about people, and it is a business. Of course, it is a business, and we have to approach it that way. But then we can't people are not robots. Agents are not robots, actors are not robots, casting directors are not robots. So we are people first and foremost. So we just need to make sure we're all okay, really.
Yeah, definitely. We've kind of touched on it a little bit, but I just want to go back to you actually finding the client's work. So is it always Spotlight, or is there another source? Because I know, especially pandemic and Twitter, social media has become such a thing. What methods do you go with?
I mean, I think that, obviously I am on Twitter. I'm not on there like a lot. I'm not, but I do go on Twitter, and I do see, it's nice that casting directors are reaching out sometimes and putting things out there. I think that, if you have got an agent, maybe, an actor should maybe say, right, have you seen this? Is this, because a lot of stuff is mostly on Spotlight. Maybe there are a few things that are just on Twitter, but I think its majority is on Spotlight first, and then they do like a bit of a second call. Sorry, what was your question again? I keep going off at a tangent.
No, I love it. So, is Spotlight kind of your main way of getting the client's work, or what other avenues would you use?
Yeah, I mean, I do direct messaging if I know that there's a project coming up that that's been put out there. I'll message the casting directors, because the ones that I have good relationships with, and then I'll obviously try and get good relationships with maybe some that I don't know as well, or have been quieter. So I do a lot of that as well. So it's not just, obviously Spotlight is a big thing, but I don't really use casting networks. Occasionally dip into, but I don't really use anything else.
Okay, cool. With clients and bring them on, what is it that makes you think, okay, they're going to be a good addition to my books, they're going to bring something that I don't have to the team? What is it
do you know what, that's like such a good question. It's just something that you think, I can work with them. So I see a photograph and I see a show reel, and that I go, ooh, and it is usually to do with that I haven't got somebody like that on my books, and they've got a different skill set maybe. But what I would say to actors is, don't look at my book and go, oh, such a body's like me, therefore I won't apply, because often we see things very differently on this side. So it's like we go, oh no, you're not a clash of, if somebody says, oh, they're like me, and you go, no, because they can do this, that, and the other, they do got different skill set. So it's just something that we see, and we then get into interview, and then if we feel like we click, because it's got to be that you have a relationship, that you get on, and if sometimes it just doesn't gel, so it is just, it's a difficult question, that, because it is just to do with who we've got, and if we think we can work with you and we can get you work.
So let that decision be up to you, I guess. Don't let it off-put. Again, go on the website and thinking, well, there's somebody who's got brunette hair like me. I'm not going to go for it. That's for you to see. Yeah, because we do really sort of, we just decide on, we just think, right, we like them, they come across really well in the show reel. We think, there's a market there for them, because you're a brand, aren't you, as an actor? So it's to do with whether we think we can get your work and stuff. So do you have anything that you specifically always look for in an actor, like a particular skill or an outlook that you can see all of your clients have in common?
Do you know what? I just really sort of not chilled out people, but just people that understand how it works. But we're very aware that new people coming into the business sometimes don't understand, and we're happy to sort of help them out and guide them. But we just want people to be open and honest, really. And I think that a lot of our clients are really they understand where we are, they feel that they can talk to us, so it's that sort of thing. It's not a relationship where I don't want anyone to ever feel frightened to sort of pick up the phone and talk to me or email me about anything, any concerns, but it's got to be open, and you've got to be trust there. Do you know what I mean?
Not like a hierarchy and too scared
Absolutely
to approach.
Absolutely not, no. And they've got to be honest with us, as well, and stuff, and we're there to protect people as well because sometimes like actors maybe get offered jobs on their own, through their own contacts, and that's great. But we're there to like really make sure that the contract is right for them, because what we don't want is them sign up to a short film and then that film goes further on and then they've signed something to say, oh no, you've released all your rights. We've got to really make sure that, and we're there to guide people and to advise people. But ultimately it is the actor's choice, and we always say at the start, right, tell me the things you want to do, tell me things you don't want to do, just so we know from the get-go what they don't want to be seen for, and then we don't sort of send them for those sort of things.
And what is it that you think makes a great representation email? Because ultimately that's probably most of the time how actors come across you, is that first point of contact is the email.
I would say, email for definite, really short and sweet, because and also, if you feel like, if you look at your spotlight objectively and go, right, those photos, I want to get new ones, or my showreel's not real, my showreel's about 5 years old, don't send an email to an agent and go, oh, I'm just about to. Wait till you've done it, get really good headshots, get everything really ready and that makes you look as good as it can, and then send off an email and just say, look, here's my showreel, please have a look, this is what I've been up to. You don't need to send reams and reams of I'm passionate about acting, because that's a given, isn't it? That's why you're doing it. So we don't need that. We just need a really sort of short and sweet email, just showing a bit of personality, really.
And in terms of the format and things like that, is there various ways of how to grab your attention? Is there any do's or don'ts that you would say?
I mean, I would say don't send like blanket emails CCing loads of agents. That's a definite no-no, and that has happened. And I don't really, I don't go, oh, that's it. I'm not, because I know some people don't understand how it works. So I would still look at the stuff, but I would say really find out about the agency that you're applying to, and find out the names. So don't say like dear sir, madam, or
be mindful.
So just like have a little, because everything's out there on the internet. You can look at people's websites. You can find out about them as people, what sort of work they do. So just do a bit of research, really, and then just send a really nice, friendly email. Or just I like it when people say things like, oh, I love the fact that such a body's doing this. Your client, and they're doing that sort of work, and
it's personalised.
Just do your research and just approach them in a nice, pleasant way, really.
Perfect. And then coming across actors, what is it that you think stands out on a showreel? How much weight is placed on that showreel? Is it the be-all and end-all? What is your views on that?
Well, sometimes we'll go and people invite us to see shows, so I need to see somebody acting. I'm not going to take anybody on if they haven't got a showreel and they're not in a show, because I don't know if they can actually act, do I? So, it's all very well seeing a really lovely photo, but I do have to see them act. So it's just for me personally, I quite like comedy. I quite like light-hearted things. I don't feel like sometimes there's a lot of like crying in showreels and a lot of snotting and stuff, and I'm not really into that. But that, I wouldn't judge anybody badly by it, but I just like a bit of somebody that makes me laugh, really. And that's, so that's what I look for.
It must break up what you see. A bit of light-heartedness and to be a breath of fresh air.
And just, and what's lovely sometimes is when people have written something themselves and it's just brilliant. I really like that as well. And you know what it's like. You've got to be resourceful, and you've got to really sort of find ways of, right, what can I do? You've got to really self-motivate yourself, and you've got to get things done. You can't wait around, really. So it's that sort of approach, really, I like.
On the back of that, with the showreels, is it important to you what type of showreel it is, as in an actress has forked out X amount, or they've done it themselves at home? Is it a balance?
You don't have to go and spend a lot of money if you haven't got it. You don't have to get a really polished filmic showreel. There are companies that will do them, or just get, we've all got iPhones or smartphones. Just get something recorded with your friends, and just it's about what's the content, really, rather than the way it looks for me. I would say that people sometimes say, can I send a monologue? For me, with telly, you're more likely to be interacting with somebody, so I needed to see you interacting. So So to get like a little, a duologue or something with somebody in it would be better than a monologue, really.
Yeah, you can see them react.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what is your relationship like with casting directors? Like, do you work closely with them? What is that?
Yeah, so obviously it varies because there's some that like I've got people in all their shows and stuff, and so it's I always try and keep in contact with them, see what they're up to. I think I've got a good relationship with most casting directors, I'm going to be honest, and that's like not just in Manchester in this area, but in London as well. So yeah, it's part of our job to sort of maybe take them out to theatre shows and know who they are and what they're up to, and it's their job as well to know who the agents are that have got the good people as well.
Yeah.
So so it's.
Do casting directors ever influence who it is that you would take on? Is there that kind of conversation that would happen with them?
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, sometimes they'll say, look, I've seen this person, they're really good, they're unrepresented, and they'll send the stuff across to me. That does happen. Yeah, that does happen.
Would you recommend actors reaching out to casting directors directly themselves?
Do you know what? I think it's like, as an actor, you are a brand and you need to be proactive and people need to know who you are as well. So I personally don't see there's anything wrong in actors reaching out to casting directors, like saying, look, I've got a new agent, I've got new headshots, I've got a new showreel. It's just that thing, make sure you've got something to say when you email them, and don't email them too often, that's all I'd say. So I'd say maybe, once every three to 6 months really, just go, hi, this is what I'm up to, but make sure you've got something to say, rather than just here's my CV.
And do you want your clients to kind of keep you in the loop with that communication?
I mean, I don't mind really. I just do say to them that it is their career. It's not my career. So because I was an actor myself and I was very proactive. So I just say, just keep going with things. Make sure people know who you are, especially when you're starting out, because it's a lot. It seems like it's a massive business when there's loads of people, but actually it's quite small actually when you realise that a casting director that's maybe working at Sophie Holland will move about to someone else, or so yeah, just I do like them to maybe tell me, but it's not if they do things off their own back, it's fine. It's just sometimes if they do let me know and I say, this is casting at the minute, I've sent you for this, it's just a nice bit of communication, and it rounds it all off really. So it's a good thing to keep me in the loop, or me and Bryony in the loop about what's going on.
Team.
Yeah.
So we've talked about casting directors and having a close relationship with them. What is it like with other agents? Is it a supportive relationship? Is it rivalry? Like, how does that look?
Well, do you know what? I think that especially in the Northwest, we are all mates, I feel, because we're all, especially with the COVID thing, I think it's really sort of barriers have come down, and we're actually trying at the minute to set up like a northern sort of collective of agents, and we do meet up occasionally, just so that we can maybe, fight for certain things, when a breakdown says, we're casting, you've got to be London based or whatever, all of that sort of stuff, we can sort of go, well, why is that? And so we've been meeting sort of once every couple of months, a gang of us. So I don't feel there's a rivalry, because I feel like there's enough work to go round. I feel like we're all just doing our own thing with our actors. So personally, I mean, I get a bit miffed, I'm not going to lie, when I get an actor really going and then they leave to go to a London agent. That's quite difficult to take. I know people think we're just heartless and we don't care, but actually when you've really invested time and effort, and you think that we could have had a conversation about this before you jump ship, and that I find that quite difficult. I wouldn't say I'm resentful of those agents, but I just wonder what sometimes they're saying to people. And I'm just really honest. I don't ever do any BS. But anyway, that's part of the job, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, on the back of that as well, like I think it's certainly changed recently, but there's the London. You have to be in London to be an actor, and that's how you're going to be successful. But that's not the case, and we know that in the North.
Yeah.
How do you think the general public is viewing that now?
I mean, I think that, especially the movement was starting before COVID anyway, because of, the Media City was a massive thing, when the BBC moved out of London, that was huge. And then a lot of others have followed suit. So you've got Channel 4's gone to Leeds, and they're moving out of London, because London is, there's no space to build. It's saturated almost. I think it's now, because, as I say, the production companies there's Northern production companies, Newcastle, they're I think it's more, and it's such a small country, really. It's not very, So I think it's changed, really. There's way to go, of course. There should never be a snobbery that London is better than, or you've got to. Because I know when I was, you've got to live in London to be taken serious. That is not the case. As long as you're prepared to get on a train. Yeah. As you know, most first rounds are tapes now anyway. That's going to stay for some time, I think. And then it'll just be that if you have a recall, you might have a face-to-face recall or a Zoom. Yeah. So as long as you're prepared as an actor to travel, and being Northerners, we're always prepared to travel. Like the Australians are with the world. We just go, we'll go wherever. Yeah. There's no problem really. Yeah.
When your actors are feeling low or at the low point, what do you recommend? How do you give that advice to get them back to fighting spirit?
I just tell them sort of what's going on and how things are quieter and then I also sort of will say, look, these are the things that I've sent you for, that you write for. Write a few letters, be a bit more, because we can all get in a bit of a rut, can't we? And I think the problem with social media, it has its good points, but also you can see that the whole world is working. And look at me, here's me on set, and it is quite depressing.
Only share the positives, don't they?
Yeah, not the negatives.
Grass is greener.
So I've got lots of friends that have come off social media for that. They can't cope with it. They've just come off it and they feel much better for it. So I'd say just take all of that with a pinch of salt. That's not real life. We know that Instagram is airbrushed, so I feel like the whole of social media is sometimes airbrushed. So just keep true to yourself, know your talent and practice as well. If you feel like, I'm a bit rusty, I've not done any acting for a bit, go and take some classes, because you can't expect, if you've been to drama school, to then have 4 or 5 years off and then be as good as you were at drama. It's a muscle, isn't it? It's muscle memory. You've got to practice your skill. So just plough your own field, as I always say. Just make sure you're okay and just go at your own pace. Don't try and go, well, such a body's doing that, I should do that. Everyone's
trust in the siege of I guess.
And also it is very much right actor, right parts. And it will, if you've been seen by casting directors, that's a real positive. You're getting those tapes, they've seen you, and there will be a part that comes in that you're right for. It just will happen, so just keep going.
Yeah. Wait, when we're talking about social media then, and people that have come off it, do you think it's a tool that actors need, that they should be having, they need to use, or is it just a case by case, whatever's preference?
I think it's whatever works for you. I think that some people it benefits because they feel like they can see what's going on, especially with the casting directors now and their teams putting things out there, so you know what's going on. So it maybe makes you feel a bit more connected, can make you feel a bit more connected with things. And a bit more knowledgeable, and then because it is about knowing which casting director is doing what and who are their team behind them as well, who are the 5 or 6 people that that are assisting them and stuff. So it's knowing what's going on really. So actors can feel that now they can see that, so it's quite good for them. So it's up to them individually really. I think it's, if you feel as an actor that you are seeing things and it's just making you depressed, then I'd say put it out. You don't have to be on it.
Put yourself first, isn't it?
Yeah.
So with showreels and headshots, do you have kind of a set time frame of when they need to be updated?
So I'd say you need new photos maybe once every couple of years, unless you dramatically change your appearance, like you put on weight, you lose weight, you change your hair. So I'd say every couple of years, because we all change, don't we? Our faces change shape. So I'd say, a couple of years. And I'd say for a show reel, I'd say anything that's 5 years old is pushing it a bit. Yeah. Okay. So I'd say, just try and keep it to sort of recent stuff. Put your recent stuff at the beginning anyway.
Yeah. With the pandemic that's going to come now with gaps in CVs, what is it that you would recommend with that? How do they combat that gap in the CV?
Well, I don't think anyone's going to judge anybody at the minute from if they've had time out. I just think people just need to be honest, because if you're in a if you get to have a face to face with a casting director and say, what have you been doing? Just say, well, I've been having a baby, or I've not been doing anything. Just be honest. I don't know. I would never make things up. To put on you, never try and fill stuff, but just there is lots of theatre happening, fringe theatre, there's lots of maybe student films, try and get some sort of experience, try and do all of those sort of things, maybe explore all of that's happening around you locally, and see if there's anything that can be done there, just to get you get experience and also confidence up as well, because it's you can have a massive dip in confidence, can't you, if you haven't worked for a bit.
With relationships, we spoke about with other agents and casting directors. Is it important for an agent to have relationships with directors and producers?
I mean, I do know quite a few, but it's good because obviously ultimately the producer is the person that will go to a casting director and go, right, here's a list of people I want to see, and then a casting director will go, here's a list of people I want, so it's a very sort of collaborative approach. So it doesn't harm anything if we know producers and directors, but I think we mostly deal with the casting teams. That's who we mostly deal with. It's like they sort of filter, up to the top and stuff, because they're very busy people, aren't they? So, but yeah, I do know a fair amount of, and I wouldn't, when I know something's happening, it's got the green light, I wouldn't think anything of like messaging and going, who's casting it, or who's, just getting on board. Really.
Yeah, strike while the iron's hot.
Yeah.
With self-tapes, it's very much more common now after the pandemic. Do you have tips for actors that you would think this is what you need to be doing when you're doing a self-tape?
Well, I think there's lots of resources online, isn't there, for that? There's lots of things like is it Spotlight that have got like a self-tape guideline thing. I mean, obviously I would say really follow the email to the letter that I send, that the agent sends out. So really follow what is required for that self-tape, because you'll be amazed at the amount that say, right, we need an ident or we don't need an ident, and then the actor doesn't do it, or does, and doesn't follow the instructions, because sometimes they're quite specific in what they want, because every casting director is different, and some use we use Tagmin, which is a software which makes it a nice small size of a file and all the rest of it, and then some use Dropbox, and then there's a Cast It Talent, which is an American thing. Again, that's a different way of sending things. So I just say make sure that you're following what it says in the email, and make sure that it's landscape, because that's what they want, and head and shoulders, and just watch it and be objective. If you're rushing it and you're just going, and it's like an inconvenience that your agents, it's like, well, why? This should be the most important thing, that you get this tape done, you do a good version of it. Because if you don't do a good version of it, someone else will, and they'll get the job. So I'd say just really make sure, you don't have to spend masses of time on it, but watch it back and go, I didn't believe that, or I can do that better, and do it again. Make sure it's the best version, because if you're in the room, they'd be giving you direction on it. So it's quite hard to second guess. I'd also say maybe if it's like one scene, do maybe like a few versions of it. Like maybe think, right, what would they have said if I was in the room? Would they say, right, do it again, but do it a bit more like this, or try and do maybe a few little different takes of it. And then that gives your agent then, maybe if they say, no, I'm just going to send the one, it gives them a bit of a scope to look at and send the best one, really.
So as an agent, do you get involved to an extent with the self-tape?
Very much so. Very much so. So everybody, I very rarely let anyone send things direct. They always have to send them to us first, and we check them, and we'll go, right, you've got to do it again. If it's not good enough, or if we think they can do it better, or if we really know what that casting team are looking for, we'll make them do it again. So we really get involved, because that's, obviously it's them, the actor, but it's our name as well. Sending something out that is, and if we know somebody can do it better, just give them a little few, especially it's guidance, really. It's not like, we're not dictatorial in any way, we're just sort of trying to get the best sent off, really.
If you could go back in time to when you first started thinking about becoming an agent, what would you tell yourself?
Oh my goodness, don't do it, no. No, I'd just say, what would I say to myself? Don't take things to heart, maybe. Don't get upset about things that you can't control.
I guess being an agent, the nature of the beast, it must be so hard to disconnect and not get invested in what's going on, so that is probably a skill to learn.
I mean, I wouldn't, I'm not like I've not gone cold or anything, I'm not like a sort of heart of steel or anything, but you do have to be, like anything, you have to be certainly you harden up a bit the more you do it, I would say.
And our last question for you, Nikki, is whose responsibility do you think it is to remove barriers that are in their industry?
I think it's everybody's responsibility. So I think it starts with, if you're talking about diversity and inclusion and disabled, because I've got quite a few disabled actors, it's in the writing, isn't it? It's in the producers deciding to do something with the writers. And, I do still find breakdowns on Spotlight where they're looking for 20 male actors, you know, and it's I'm not saying that, you know, it'd be interesting to do like a survey to see how many, you know, how many casting breakdowns come down for women to men, and also inclusion. I think the diversity is, you know, massively sort of changed now, hasn't it? We know that with the breakdowns. But I think it's everybody's responsibility. I think it's everybody's responsibility to be open and honest, be honest. And I think there's nothing wrong with saying, I don't know, I'll find out, or I can't do that, I don't, you know.
Yeah.
Don't just say, oh no, and fudge things.
Yeah.
So I think it's everybody's, agents, casting directors, producers, writers, everybody's, actors, everybody's.
Amazing. And that is your Ignite Insight. Thank you so much.
Thank you for those lovely questions.